Hello, Central Florida. I'm Aramis Ayala, the Ninth Circuit State Attorney here in Orange and Osceola counties. Today, we're going to have a little bit of discussion about child abuse, domestic violence, and sexual abuse in the middle of COVID-19. I've got three special guests. We have Michelle Sperzel, who is the CEO of Harbor House, our domestic violence shelter here. We have Damiani, who is the Executive Director of Victim Services Center of Orange County, or Central Florida, I'm sorry. And we also have a dear friend of mine, Shaquille O'Neal. Can you guys all say hi?
Hello.
All right.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start with Shaq. Let us know why you're joining us here today.
I just want to let you all know that, I'm a big supporter of all you guys. If you guys ever need anything from me, you let me know. You ever need food, I can get you some Papa John's pizza. You guys ever need monetary donations, I have a lot of friends. I just want all you guys to be successful, and I just want to say thank you, for people like you. Guys like me always get celebrated, but you guys are there working during the middle of COVID-19, taking care of these people, taking care of these kids. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say I appreciate you and I love you very much. I'm not going to be in the meeting for the, integral talks. I just want to be the guy that if you guys ever need a shoulder to lean on, I want to be the shoulder. So if you want me to feed women and children, I could do that all day. And again, if they need toys during Christmas, whatever they need, I'm here to, lend my help with that. And thank you very much, all of you.
Awesome. Just one quick question. If you can give any little kids or women any pieces of encouragement during this time, if they are stuck in a place where they want to get out, just a little piece of encouragement before you check out.
I just want to say, keep your head up, keep striving for greatness, and better days will come. I know I am the Shaq, but I know what you're going through, because at one time in my career, me and my mother, we were very homeless. And my mother, who's a doctor now, she just kept fighting, eventually got a job, met my stepfather. He turned me into the guy that I am. So just, keep your head up. And again, all you got to do is tell the directors if there's anything you need, TVs, iPods, iPads, whatever, they'll get the message from me, and I will try my hardest to put a smile on your face.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Shaq. You guys want to say bye? Thanks.
Thank you so much. And I'll be
problem.
taking you up on that. We need a basketball hoop.
Oh, that's easy.
Right?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Love you. Thank you.
All right. Love you too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
All right.
All right. So we're gonna keep on moving forward with the discussion. Michelle, if you want to talk a little bit about Harbor House, can you tell us exactly what it is that Harbor House does?
So Harbor House, we're the domestic violence center that serves here in Orange County. And when we're talking about domestic violence center, people think about emergency shelter. We have our shelter. We also have transitional housing. We have our emergency crisis hotline number that we have that's 24/7 for anybody to call in. And we also have our children's programs, both in the schools and then also here on campus. And then we have some summer programs. We also have our court programs that you're familiar with, and Louis is also familiar with injunctions, and also helping to represent people when it comes to injunctions. And then we have what we call our early victim response team. And what's great about that is that they are able to work side by side with law enforcement in order to help individuals where there is law enforcement that responded. And we have a 120 bed shelter right now. Because of COVID, we have 51 people in there. Because of social distancing, we had to reduce our bed count. And then along with that, we have 30 adults, and then we have our 20 kids.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. You know that's something that we value in this community, obviously. And in a minute, we're going to talk a little bit about what are options for people, even though you've had to reduce the bed count at the actual shelter. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Louis, can you tell us a little bit about the Victim Services Center?
Sure. Yeah, the Victim Service Center of Central Florida, we've been in existence. We're now in our 21st year. Our mission is to help victims of violent crime, sexual assault, and any other kind of traumatic event. And, what fits the bill better than, the midst that we're in right now? We have a team of master's level counselors and therapists. We also run a 24-hour helpline, really for crisis intervention, for folks that want to call and have maybe been triggered because of the circumstances that are going on, to talk to a qualified counselor. We always have people available. And then we have a variety of support groups and other services. We are the Rape Crisis Center for Central Florida. We're the only rape crisis center in Central Florida. So anytime there's a victim of sexual violence, our team are the immediate responders. We also employ a team of forensic nurses and conduct forensic exams and collect DNA evidence and that type of work as well.
Okay, well, you know, I also appreciate your work. I've appreciated long before I became the state attorney. But the reason this discussion, very brief, is so important because we talk about COVID-19 and the shelters in place orders that have a lot of people literally locked in their homes. And that is a form of isolation. And, you know, domestic violence, Michelle, we say this all the time that, you know, isolation is the best friend of an abuser. And, you know, it can impact people in a lot of different ways. You know, we all showed up and let the public know that your organizations are not closed. They haven't stopped business and they're still functioning in the midst of COVID-19. So just as a follow-up, Michelle, if you could tell us a little bit about any of the changes that you're noticing amid this pandemic.
So some of the immediate changes we felt were when the schools closed, all of our children's programmings within the schools and after school programs shut down. And so that's been very difficult because when you have kids who sometimes identify that they're in an abusive home and teachers help them, that means that we're not getting as many people who are reaching out or even people who are noticing what's happening in the home. So that was one thing we saw right off the bat. Then along with that, we have seen just our numbers be steady. There's a lot of different domestic violence centers across the state of Florida that have seen a decrease in the number of people reaching out for help. And we've seen that our numbers are steady. So that's due to the fact that we've done a lot of public awareness. I mean, both of you on this, we've been able to do that together in order to make a difference. And so our crisis hotline numbers are the same. And where we're starting to see now changes is we're starting to see more people who are going to the courthouse, more people who are reaching out to us to file victims' compensation. And we're seeing a lot more referrals coming from our team that would be working with law enforcement and also with the children's CPIs, so for Department of Children and Family. We're seeing a lot more internal referrals. That's one piece. On the flip side of that, we are not seeing that many people who want to come into our emergency shelter. And when we ask them why, there's a few different things. One, they're too scared that if they come into a mass shelter that they're going to be getting COVID-19. And so they're nervous to live with strangers. We explain to them how our shelter is set up, but then at the same point in time, that's also someone's comfort. So they are saying, I would rather stay right now until the shelter in place is lifted. And then once my abuser goes back to work, come up with my plan, and then I want to come in. So there's that piece. There's also the financial strains that people are really looking at. I mean, we might have just gotten the stimulus, and so we don't want to leave because right now there's money, and we don't know the next time we're going to get money into our family. So there's that, which is a barrier that are keeping people in. But I would also say, but we're set up for anybody if they want to come in at any time. So the people who are coming in, what we're seeing is that they are highly lethal situations, and if they wouldn't have come in, it might have resulted in a homicide. And that in itself is that they're really horrific domestic violence cases, and they just decided it doesn't matter. In the middle of this, I need to be safe and my kids need to be safe. So that's the kind of the changes that we're seeing.
Well, kudos to you. What about you all, Louis, at the Victim Service Center?
You know, much of the same, but it's the great unknown. People have a lot of stressors at home now. Maybe they lost their jobs. You know, there's a lot of anxiety, so they're being triggered, and they're looking for an outlet and somebody to talk to. You know, all the social channels that you previously had, all of a sudden were shut down, and particularly in the work that we do with survivors of sexual violence. The average client that walks through our doors, it's 9 years after their event. So there's something else that happens down the line that ends up being a trigger, and this is kind of serving as one of those, and that's okay, and that's why we exist. That's why we're here. That's why we're available. That's why we have people on our helpline that is always going to be picked up by the third ring, by a master's level counselor. But people just, you know, because there's so much confusion about what is and what isn't available, I think that we're seeing that they just don't know it's available. So kudos to you and for for making sure that we have a platform, to one additional platform to make sure people know what's available to them. And then, you know, the other important element that we need to get across to people is, now that they're armed with this, whoever's seeing this, they're armed with this information that we are open available. So now take it to the next level and reach out to your neighbors and reach out to your loved ones and reach out to your friends and figure out who needs your help. You know, text them, call them, video chat with them, whatever it is. I've had neighbors drop off baked goods because they're bored to death, so they're baking things, but they're checking in on us. So any of these things people can do, and then identify that somebody might need some help and let them know that these resources are available to them.
Absolutely. So I'm going to try to wrap it up just a little bit, but I want to go in a little bit further with what you were talking about, because when I started, I said that we're talking about how this community can re-engage, how we can not check out in a time like this, but check in with our neighbors, check in with our loved ones, and lay eyes on people, because these resources are available. But if we're not doing this as a team to come together and make certain that our team is, you know, working collaboratively to get people the help that they need, then our resources aren't being utilized to their maximum. So let's talk a little bit about how people can check in. And I want to toss that one to you, Michelle. Like, when you talk about the resources that are available, even in the pandemic with Harbor House, what would you say to both a person who was in a situation with an abuser, or to someone who may be a neighbor, a sibling, a aunt, someone who doesn't live in the home, who's trying to help that person get resources?
Absolutely. So for someone who's needing to reach out to us, there's a few different ways. The first one would be calling our emergency crisis line. The second one would be, we have our email address, which is contactus@harborhousefl.com. And the third way would be reaching out to us on Facebook Messenger. We're available. There's advocates there the entire time. And then also we're going to be launching next week, Text an Advocate. And so those are different ways that someone can reach out to us. And keep that in mind when I get through. There's 4 different steps that I've been talking to different people about, as far as what you can do if you have a friend or a family member that you're worried about, your neighbor. And one of them is definitely what we're all talking about, is checking with them with a text, set up creative ways for you to reach out to them. It might be setting up a play date, or even doing a movie with each other on FaceTime, something of that nature. And so that you can see them and you can hear them, because someone else can pick up that phone and send out a text, is making sure it's really important that we see our friends and our loved ones right now. The second one is, if they talk to you about what's going on, believe them, empathize with them, and let them know that the abuse and what is happening in the house right now is not their fault, and that you are there to help them regardless, and that you're going to be helping them during it, and you're going to help them on the other side, whatever that might look like. Another thing is help them, which is the third thing, is safety plan with them. Safety plan with them as far as, you know, what are you going to do after this is all over? Or what are you going to do if it's going to escalate? You know, you can always text me or say something like, I burnt the bacon. And if you text me that, or if you call and tell me that I know that I'm going to hang up with you, and I'm going to call 911, and I'm going to say something's happening at this address. And so really bring your family and friends into some of that safety planning, as far as if there's a lethality or if it's starting to escalate within the home. And the other piece is just safety plan of what's going to be happening next. And part of that is making sure that your friends, your family members, your loved ones who might be in this situation, that they have the access to Harbor House or whatever domestic violence center is in their local area, and have it saved in their phone, maybe under another name, or they might have it written down someplace and put inside their wallet or their purse, so that when they need it, that phone number is there for them, and that they're able to reach out to us in that way. So I know it can be very disempowering to be in this situation and you have a loved one that you're worried about. And the more that you learn about domestic violence, the more that you arm yourself with different ways that you can help yourself and help them through it, the more empowered you're going to feel. And you're going to help that person's not going to feel so isolated, and we're going to take back some of that power from the abusers.
Michelle, before I go to Louis to close out as it relates to what they can do during this time, I want you to touch on the friends and family, like what happens during the Tuesdays once a month, what opportunities are available.
Thank you. We have a support group that we're doing the third Tuesday of every month. And what we do there is that you can go through our website to sign it up for it, or you can go to Facebook and say that you're interested and you want to sign up for the support group. And it's basically a Q&A with an advocate and whoever wants to call in to talk through, hey, this is specifically what's happening with my loved one, and I'm concerned, I don't know how to help. How do I help safety plan with them? And the advocate is 100% there for you to help during that time. And so, I mean, we had our last one and it was just phenomenal. It ended up being somebody who was really concerned, and we spent the entire time talking through the power and control wheel and understanding how these are different things and different tactics that an abuser uses. And so when you're talking to your sister, you can say, well, do you know, like, you know, he's using the kids against you in this, and he's using that in order to control you. Or him threatening the pets is a way that he is threatening you directly. And so really empowering someone who cares, because what happens oftentimes is that most people don't reach out to a domestic violence center. They're reaching out to their mom, their church friends, they're reaching out to someone at work. They may not be calling us. And so we're asking everybody to learn a little bit about domestic violence, become an advocate, and know that we're here to support you. And then you can eventually get someone like Harbor House or Louis for support.
Perfect. So that's how, with as it relates to Harbor House, how people can check in, don't check out, right? All right. Louis, tell us a little bit about how people can check in versus checking out during this time.
Same thing. And I was gonna actually make the same point that Michelle did, is that so often, you know, the bystander is the person who can help the most, but they don't, because they don't know what tools are available to them. They don't know how to approach the conversation. So whether you're calling, you know, Michelle's group, you can call our helpline. A lot of the conversation that our folks have, it's not only somebody that's in distress calling, but it is a loved one that just wants to talk through what that conversation is like. So do it. If you know, rather than avoiding the conversation, call us and we'll try to help you prepare for that conversation, let you know what tools are available. And there are lots of options, not only the helpline, but you can text us. We have a text line as well. You know, our hotline, by the way, is 407-500-HEAL. And our text line is 497-6701. Boy, I almost lost it there. And of course, her website is chock full of information as well. And we both, you know, I'd also point out, so if there is somebody that's in distress and they're looking for resources and they're on our website, we also have quick escape buttons on our websites where you can quickly just click it. And if you're in danger, if somebody walks in the room that you don't want to see, because confidentiality is so critical to the work that we do, you can quickly escape from it. It'll send you out to like a Google search page, and no harm, no foul. So know that we are highly cognizant about safety and security, and that we're available first and foremost. Whether people, we still have a skeleton crew doing operational hours here. Should somebody walk in crisis, we've only seen a couple in the last couple of weeks where that has been the case, and we take all the necessary precautions. And the majority of our folks are working remotely, and they all have this capability. Everybody on our team now has a video conferencing capability, so we're able to provide services in a new way that we've never had to do before. We've adapted pretty quickly. Again, we also are having a variety of different support groups. We can do what we would call an intake. Somebody would normally come in here and go through an assessment process. That's all been pushed online now. We have a video that they can watch on YouTube, and it explains them the intake process. So just know that these resources are available, that organizations like ours, like Michelle's, have worked really, really hard to be sure that we're here for the long term. We're not going anywhere, and you know, we're here to serve this community.
That's the exact point. So I want to close this out by thanking you both for all that you do. You know, there's a lot of people who talk about supporting victims, but the work that you do, you know, the actual things that you sow into this community makes a huge difference. And while you may not get the kudos, you are actually changing lives. And I want to let you know that we are also fighting our domestic violence, our sex crimes unit, our child abuse. We are continuing to fight. Our attorneys are also being protected, working from home, but they are also on a rotation coming in the office. There is absolutely no slow process. There is nothing that has changed, slowed down, or stopped as it relates to domestic violence, child abuse, and sex crimes, or any violence in this community for the Ninth Circuit. So thank you all for being available for the victims on a deeper level than what we can do as the state attorney's office. I want to remind you that if there's anything that my office can do to continue to support you, Michelle, you know that I have been a huge fan of yours and I have been supportive of Harbor House. I want to make certain that I'll get with you later on so that we can ensure that Papa John's, with the help of Shaquille O'Neal, I'm personally going to fund a pizza party for Harbor House this weekend, just to make it light, anything, you know, that we can help. Louis, we would love to help support your office if you guys are having any type of group functions or anything like that. So we've got the perfect pizza guy, we've got the perfect victim advocates, and those of you who do the work. So I want to tell you thank you. And if you all would take a moment to remind the people, don't check out, check in. Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely. Check in. Don't check out on this.
All right, Louis?
Definitely don't check out, check in with your neighbors, check in with folks and get them the help that is available and that they deserve.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. And we want you all to remember to tell someone, don't check out, check in.